NERDSoul.
Why are you a black man in love?
Passion for the shit you love.
Hmm. I kind of see where you're coming from, but I don't know if I totally agree.
Speaking, come on.
Because to me, it's more complicated than that. It's because in a relation, in dating, in dating and I don't want to say in courtship, because once courtship, in my opinion, once that comes, you have kind of established your intentions.
Mhm.
But in dating, you're kind of still getting to know each other, feeling each other out, paying attention to each other's actions. And I think it is important to kind of weigh things out, even because you can't just kind of go on what you feel, because you get caught up in some moments. And as far as giving the cookie away, you can't take it back.
Right.
So I don't know. I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
I do see what you're saying.
Mhm.
And maybe it's because of how he worded it in the book,
Yeah.
but I remember reading the book and I couldn't put it down, because I guess what I got out of it was a little different. I didn't get out of it a method of manipulation. I got out of it. I think I paid more attention to when he was explaining how men operate and how men's minds work, and kind of where they're coming from,
Mhm.
versus the angle of how to manipulate them and how to use the cookie to kind of whatever. But the way I look at that is, either he wants you or he doesn't.
Right.
I don't know if it's fair to say, let's say you break the 90-day rule and you have sex with a man. Is he going to be like, "Oh, well, I'm done"? Like, to me, he didn't see anything in you anyway.
Right.
So you waiting, what was that going to do? Was he going to eventually see something in you?
Right.
See, I don't know.
Right.
It's a mishmash.
Get it?
But I know for me, I remember just really taking a lot out of him, talking about how men's minds work. Now, I know sometimes men will judge you if you have sex with them what they deem to be too soon, and that's of course not a rule for them, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
um I don't know. So I kind of like the term. Some people roll their eyes at it, but I like the term, you know, what was it? Think like a man, act like a
Actively
lady,
agree.
think like a man.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, I think that kind of sums up the whole thing. But if you view it as a game or a way to manipulate, you're looking at it the wrong way. And I honestly don't believe it's going to work out
For sure.
in your favor. Some people may say otherwise.
Mhm.
Um, you may get the man, you might, but getting him ain't really the hard part. I'm just saying.
Sure. It's very true. And if
Do
if
you want
you
to keep
start out if
him?
you start out playing games, dangling carrots, using
Mhm.
manipulation, then you're going to have to continue with that. I mean, it doesn't matter what it
Yeah.
is. It doesn't necessarily have to be sex. It could be, if you start dating a guy and you're inviting him over and you're cooking him, lobster and all of this kind of stuff. And then once you get him, you give him a plate of fish sticks. I think he's going to feel some kind of way. Like,
It's
okay,
still from the thing.
you had a few stops before we got to your plate. So it's just like no matter what the situation is, you have to be consistent in who you are and
Yeah.
not try to manipulate somebody into doing certain things or
Yeah.
responding in a certain way. And I think that that type of thinking comes from the little girls that we were talking about who
Mm-hmm.
don't feel secure in a man sticking around, don't feel
Mm.
secure in their value and their worth, you know? And so they
Yeah.
have to create these pinnacles in their mind like, okay, if I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do that, then this is
Yeah.
going to happen. And so there's, it's all of these games that are being played. And then once the outcome doesn't happen based upon the action that you decided was going to warrant a certain response, now you're mad.
Mm.
Now
Yeah.
you're disappointed. He's a dog. Men ain't no
Yeah.
good. But
Yeah.
you created this whole thing. You made a decision and
Mm.
you determined how he was going to respond based on the decision that you made. And because he didn't respond the way you created in your mind, he's the
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah. And it's true. It's true.
You know what I mean? It's
We're
like don't get me wrong, ladies. If you have a 90-day rule, if you want to be celibate or whatever, because that's something that you're doing for your own healing and purification, I support that 100%. By all means, clear away. Because sex
yeah.
does have the spiritual energy component to it, and you know a purification process is needed, I believe, when you're having different partners and stuff like that. So I get all of that. I'm not speaking
Mm-hmm.
on it from that perspective. I'm speaking on it from the perspective of, if you think that this is going to ensure that that man is going to be with you, you got another thing coming. Because guess what? Children don't even keep men that don't want to be kept.
Come on.
So how could
They're
you,
actual blood.
right? So
Yeah.
how could you possibly think that a rendezvous is going to keep somebody around who doesn't want to be around? Like, if he's not getting it from you for 90 days and he wants it within those 90 days, guess what? He's going to get it. It's just not going to be
Yeah.
you, honey.
Yeah. If he wants sex more than he wants you,
Yeah.
if he wants sex more than he wants you, he's going to get it someplace else. And that becomes your answer.
Mhm.
Because the thing is this is the other thing, is some women will think, oh, well, I guess I should have given it to him because he cheated. No, he wants sex more than he wants you. He wants sex from you. He wants sex from somebody else more than he wants you. So even if he got the sex from you, he still wants that more than he wants you.
Or he just wants
You know
both.
what I'm saying? What'd you
Or
say?
he just wants both. You know, he could want both, and it's just like, I'm gonna take my chances. I mean, there's people, there are people in this world that exist that feel like whatever their feelings are the holy grail. You know what I mean? So if they
Yeah.
feel entitled to a certain experience, regardless of how it negatively impacts you,
Yeah.
they have the right to experience whatever it is that they're experiencing, and you just got to deal with it. There are people
Yeah.
that actually feel that way.
It's true. And I mean, quite honestly, to be fair, I think there are men who feel like after a certain period of time that they've made up in their own minds and have not communicated to you, you should be having sex with them.
Mhm.
And on the flip side, there are women who, after a certain period of time that they've made up in their mind and have not communicated with you, you should be making a commitment.
Yeah.
But it gets crazy because this isn't communicated.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it's not communicated is because, in my opinion, it's a matter of manipulation and control. Because if I sit down and have a conversation with you and say, hey, um, you know, I love spending time with you and everything, but I'm not trying to be anybody's long-term girlfriend. Are you looking at marriage? Because I eventually want to get married. What do you want to do? And they could just run for the hills.
Right.
And she doesn't want to take that risk.
Right.
right? In her mind, that's taking a risk. In my mind, it's saving time.
Yeah.
But to each his own.
Right.
And on the flip side, a man isn't going to communicate to a woman that, okay, we've been dating for 2 months. What we doing? You know? And if he does communicate that, you a dog, you nasty, you trifling. No, he's just being honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I see it. He's being honest. It may not sit well with you, and you may be disappointed, and it may be hurt, but he just saved the both of you a lot of time.
Absolutely. You're not entitled to someone's commitment. Like,
Right.
a person chooses to commit to you or not. So if they're saying to you from the beginning, listen, I'm not ready for a relationship. That's not where I am in my life. I'm just having fun. I want to keep it light. That doesn't then mean that because you want a commitment with this person, that you're going to play the role and try to change his mind low key. And then you get mad because he upheld his end of the bargain.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at him for that.
That's true.
To me, there's more respect in that. There's more respect in a man saying, this is where I am in my life. This is what I want. Are you cool with that? Or are you not cool with that? I respect that. Like, how can you get mad? There's no smoke and mirrors. He's not trying to trick or manipulate you into something. He's not trying to get something from you that you're not willing to give. None of that. It's the opposite. You know?
Yeah.
Because the woman or whether it's male or female, the person who wants the relationship is the one that has the hidden agenda. And they're trying to manipulate the situation.
Right. And because of your brokenness, lack of confidence, whatever, you see that as a rejection of you.
Yes.
When it has nothing to do with you specifically. He's like, I don't want you. I don't want her. I don't want nobody right now.
Yes.
And it's taken as rejection if you're coming from a place of brokenness and lack of confidence, and there's something you're seeking.
That is so true. That is so true. I will say, to all of the female listeners out there, like, it is so important, if you have children, it's very important that you allow their father to be in their lives and nurture them and give them that masculine energy that is necessary to help avoid these self-esteem issues and these emotional pitfalls that happen in young womanhood. That's not to say that, if you come from a 2-parent home and everything is fine and well, that everything's going to be perfect. That's not what we're saying. But statistically speaking, the more obstacles that a child encounters, like being in a single parent home, the likelihood of there being other issues is higher. That's the reality of it. So first and foremost, love yourself before you start bringing children into the world. Hopefully that will encourage or influence your decision to choose someone who's worthy of, having a child with, right? And then you allow, whether that man is with you or not, you allow the space for that man to nurture his child with masculine energy, because that is necessary. On the flip side, even though I know we're talking about girls, but with these men, I don't care how much you can't stand your baby's mother or your ex-wife or whatever, you picked her. You laid down with her. You put yourself in a situation to procreate with her. Okay, so it's not about your disdain for her. It is about your love for your child. At the end of the day, people, this is about, we have to nurture these children so that they can grow up to be not only productive members of society, but they can uplift the condition of our people. because we
Mm.
are in bad shape. And you have to be
Yeah.
willing to love your child more than you hate their parent.
Mm. Yeah. That's real. That is so very real and so very true. And yeah, we'll have to at some point, I think, get more in depth and maybe, talk to some black men about the black man's experience
Hmm.
with black women,
Hmm.
because definitely a conversation to be had. I want to go back a little bit and talk more about, because I think we've touched on it here and there, talk about standards and requirements,
Hmm.
right, that black women have. And I kind of, think about it as there are three categories. You have requirements, deal breakers, and wants,
Hmm.
right? That I think people should have. Not to make a list because I hate lists. I think, they mess you up.
Hmm.
Um, but you have requirements, right? Or you could maybe even call them standards. And, there are certain things that are just necessary, absolutely necessary. No ifs, ands, or buts. When you're looking for a mate, it could be, I don't know, he's a Christian or he has a job, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But those are things that if he cannot check off that box, stop immediately. Don't pass go. Turn around. Yeah.
Do not collect the
um,
$200.
then you have, uh, I would say, deal breakers. And I mean, you can kind of conflate requirements and deal breakers. Like deal breakers would be like the opposite of that, whatever. But deal breaker could be, I don't know, what's a good deal breaker?
Um,
Uh,
maybe he's a smoker and you don't like smoke.
there you go. Right. So let's say you start talking to a guy, and everything might be going good, and he pulls out a cigarette.
Hmm.
Doggone it,
Hmm. Hmm.
we're done. It's a deal breaker,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But this is the kicker. We have our list of wants,
Hmm.
right? And I think that what we run into is, instead of being diligent with our list of requirements
Hmm.
and deal breakers, we focus on our list of wants. And those wants will make the requirements and deal breakers extremely flexible, right? Because on the list of wants, he's fine. He has a six-figure income. He drives a Beamer, maybe even a Bentley, right?
Hmm.
Oh, but he smokes cigars. He smokes an all-out pipe, right? You know, and so now, I mean,
Yeah.
I deal with it.
I think that's a easier decision to make. But when it gets a little tougher, like, oh, I know he ain't got no job and he living under the bridge and he smoke crack sometimes, but girl, he look like Morris Chestnut.
Hold on, wait a minute. Can we go back to the he smoked crack sometimes? I've never known anyone to have the leisurely crack pipe.
Only on the third Tuesday of the month.
And if that's the case, he gonna be looking like Morris Chestnut Long. He gonna look like Morris Cracknut.
I'm just saying.
But
I'm
yes,
just saying.
but yes, yes, yes,
We
yeah.
will,
And,
we
and,
will
and it's
disregard the
true. It's
real deal stuff
yeah.
based on how they look, based
Mm-hmm.
on how they operate in the bedroom, It's like
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that you would deem as red flags or stop
Mm-hmm.
signs or whatever, it'll go out of the window.
Yeah, it will. It's craziness to me because I remember having a conversation, with NERDSoul before. I think where I would talk about, standards, and it's like, see, standards. I don't know, stand. They don't waver and flop back and forth according to what it is you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be, no, if I said I'm only going to date someone who, you know, has a job, like I understand things might be hard and this, that, and the third. And I'm not saying you're a scrub. I'm just saying that at this point in my life, the person I date, I require to currently have a job. I'm not 19, 20, 22. I ain't got time to wait for you to get it together.
Well, see, what had happened was I was working 3 weeks ago. See, what had happened was they caught
Well, you know what? Dang it. I wish I'd met you then. you know, it, and it's so crazy because it's like, I think in general, you get to a certain age
Mhm.
and a certain point in your life where it's so much easier to just be that frank and to the point. You don't have to be rude about it,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
But you can be very to the point and be like, I'm not going back and forth. We don't need to waste each other's time.
Mhm.
You're not what I'm looking for. You're in a different place than what I'm looking for. And you pay attention to your standards. You stick to your standards,
Yes.
and I think that's something that's very important. And I will give this advice for any woman who is going out on her own, starting to date. It's very important for you to have a conversation with yourself.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about sitting down with some of your girlfriends or whatever, because they can't give you that. You have to have that. You can have conversations about it,
Right.
but you have to have, to me, that final conversation with yourself. What are my standards? What am I looking for? Because if you just go out here and have no idea what your standards are
Mhm.
or what you're looking for, you're going to find some mess.
Yes.
You're going to accept some mess.
True story. True
And trust
story.
me, it's out there.
A whole lot of it is out
Like
there.
stuff you cannot imagine. A whole lot of snaggly. But anyway,
That's the truth.
um, yeah, it's important. You have to have your standards. Don't be afraid to stick to them, and be realistic. You know, don't have foolish stuff for your standards. Oh, he has to have a six-figure income.
Yeah.
He has to drive a BMW. Girl,
Right.
please.
But
That's
you got a bus pass and living with auntie. Like,
that's why he need to have a BMW again. Both of us can't be riding the bus. But anyway.
yeah, that right there, that part of it is what really trips me out. Is that there's this expectation. Women have this expectation of men, and a lot of times, whatever the expectation is that they have, they don't even possess it themselves.
Yeah,
They're expecting somebody else to give it. So
right.
whether it's a material possession or whether it's how they interact with one another. Oh, he has
Yeah.
to be patient and thoughtful, but you could care less what's going on with him. The man could have COVID, and
Right.
you not even checking on him to see, how he
Mm-mm.
doing or whatever. But you want him to be patient and thoughtful and all of this kind of
Right.
stuff. He got COVID, you at the club. I mean,
Probably how he got COVID.
like, that's real.
You're a
That's
carrier.
real. That's real.
Yeah. And, some women would say, oh, well, he's supposed to be the provider, so I can require these things of him. No, 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 no. Providers don't have to make six figures.
Right.
Providers don't have to drive a BMW.
Right.
So I just think that's just really important, and there has to be, I think, a period in time. Now, granted, for probably most women, there's a period of time where you just want to date. You just want to go out and date, have fun, that kind of thing. But when you find yourself getting to a point where you're really wanting a relationship, you're really wanting to get serious, you need to stop and spend some time by yourself. And in my opinion, spend some time with you and God, right? And figure out what it is you're looking for, what your requirements are, what your deal breakers are, what your wants are. Then what do you bring to the table? Because that's very important. Do you bring anything to the table at this point? Right. And if you don't, you need to stop and work on you.
Right.
What issues are you still dealing with? Do you have daddy issues? Are you still carrying hurt and animosity from a previous relationship? All of those things, because you have to look at it on the flip side. You want to be a man's asset.
Yes.
Not his
liability.
Thank you.
Yes. Very true. Very true. A lot of times women think that their bodies are sufficient in providing for a man's needs. But a man is a lot more complex than that. He has emotional needs, spiritual needs, mental needs. Like, if all you are is a body, he's going to be
that he's getting those other needs from other women until he makes a complete woman.
Exactly. Because he could legitimately be committed to this woman, but there's going to come a point where he's unfulfilled, and that's not going to be enough to keep him. Just like with a woman, I mean, you could say whatever it is that you need to say about like the man being the provider, but if all he did was give you money, give you things, but he didn't show love, he didn't spend time with you, he didn't give you attention, none of those things, at some point you would just be like, this doesn't feel right to me. I'm not fulfilled, because there's no true partnership and intimacy in this interaction,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was gonna.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna mention something that Ayanla would say sometimes on her show, and I'm just gonna apply it as far as self-reflection, because when you were talking about taking time for yourself and with God and really figure out what it is that you want, what it is that you bring to the table. In addition to that, what it is that you're willing to give. And you have to be honest with yourself. And that kind of goes back to the whole lobster and fish sticks thing. Don't start up something that you're not willing to continue. How deep are you willing to go into your give tank? You know what I'm saying? To give to this other person. But Ayanla would always say, look in the mirror and slap the first person that you see. And I love that. I love that saying, because we have to be real with ourselves. We have to be willing to give ourselves that real deal, harsh reality check. You know what I mean? Most of the time, we're not as fantastic as we think that we are. You know what I'm saying? And if we're really honest about that, then we can have more fulfilling relationships, not just with a romantic partner, but family, friends, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And you save yourself a lot of heartache. And this, of course, is coming from a point of view of having been there and done that.
Right.
But you do, hopefully I can save somebody some heartache. You know, you do save yourself heartache by taking some time and just being with yourself.
Mhm.
And if you have trouble being with yourself, then that's exactly where you need to be.
Yep.
I know for me personally, I got to a point where I just been dating and dating, and relationships not working out. Found myself pretty much dating the same guy in a different body
Yes.
over and over again.
Mhm.
And I had to step back and say, well, the common denominator
Yes.
is me.
Yes.
So what is going on with me
Mhm.
where I'm attracting these guys?
Yeah.
Right? What am I doing? What is wrong with me?
Mhm.
And I had to just take some time, and I made a decision to stop dating. For me, it was a decision to be celibate, and I just spent time, just me and God, and got to a place where I was just okay with being me.
Mhm.
I would take myself out to breakfast. I would take myself out to dinner
Mhm.
until I was comfortable.
Mhm.
And it got to the point I was just as content and happy as I could be, sitting in the middle of IHOP, sitting in the middle of Applebee's
Mhm.
with people, around me, with someone. And I'm cool.
Right.
I
Mhm.
am perfectly cool. I didn't need to be on the phone with the appearance of talking to someone,
Yes.
anything like that.
Mhm.
I wasn't holding my head down, hiding.
Yes.
I was cool.
Yes.
And that was a great place to be,
Mhm.
and I knew I had to get there and kind of work on my issues,
Mhm.
really think about what it is that I want. What am I looking for? Why am I dating? What am I looking for in a man? What do I want in a man? What do I require in a man?
Mhm.
What do I bring to the table?
Yeah.
Am I ready for this?
Yeah.
Am I confident enough to communicate to him what it is that I want,
Absolutely.
with the risk that he'll walk away,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, not long after I got into that, I met my husband.
Yes.
It was like God was like, well, I was waiting on you to get it together
Yes.
so I could give you what it is you have been wanting.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's
So,
so true. It's so true. And the same for me as well. I had to just shut everything down and figure out what was going on with me. Like you said, you're the common denominator. If
mhm,
your view is that all men are dogs, not that wasn't ever my view, but if your view is all men are dogs, why is that? Where did that
right,
come from? What exactly
right,
are you doing that the only type of man that is magnetized to your space is a dog?
hmm,
What is
right,
that about? And so you have to
right,
start asking yourself questions about what's going on inside of you. And a lot of times it's things from childhood that you may not have even realized that you carried into adulthood, or like you said, the bitterness from previous relationship
hmm,
that didn't work out. And also like this whole concept of you know American dream, relationship goals, all of these, kind of like abstract ideas. What exactly do you want for your life? Forget
hmm,
about the American dream or Hallmark Channel, Lifetime, like forget about all of that and think about what it is that you really need and want in your life.
yeah,
And if you can separate yourself from the fantasy and
mm,
these concepts that you never even took time to dissect to know if that's really what you wanted. You're just kind of
right,
going along trying to get it because you feel like if you don't have it by a certain age, at
mm,
somehow you're inadequate, but you never even truly within your heart wanted that particular thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's just
hmm,
It's crazy. It
Yeah,
really is
it
crazy.
is.
That's like,
It is.
oh, well, I'm going to be a doctor. Well, why? Why? I don't know. I mean,
Because my mama said I'm gonna be a doctor.
right. So I don't care about people, and I don't really like blood and guts, but I mean, shoot, this is, I guess they said, the proverbial they said that I need to be a doctor, so that's what I'm doing. That's how we're functioning in
Hmm.
relationships. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
I go to high school, I either meet my high school sweetheart or I meet the love of my life in college. We're going to get married. We're going to have the 2
Hmm.
children, the picket fence and the dog. I'm going to be a member of the PTA and I'm going to have a minivan or the SUV if I'm fancy, right?
Hmm.
Like all of these ideas about what adulting is. But like
Yeah.
you might not even like SUVs. You know,
Right.
and I'm trivializing it, but
Yeah.
it's to say like, have you really dissected whatever model of success that you're trying to achieve to really find out if
Hmm.
that's what your heart wants?
Right.
Because then
Yeah.
you're wasting time, and for what? So you can check boxes for a model of success that doesn't even matter.
Right. And are you able to first? Do you know what your gifts are? And are you able to operate in your gifts in those situations, in that type of lifestyle?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, child.
All questions to really ask yourself, and you have to take time by yourself to do that. You can't be shuffling men and dating and dealing with these fools and idiots, including yourself sometimes, and still be able to decipher
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
Real.
I mean, there's it's a very delicate balance between having fun as a young woman and experiencing life, and you know just having party and enjoying life. There's a delicate balance between that and just really doing too much
Right.
and becoming lost. The middle ground is, yes, party and have fun, but you have to know that you have to get to a point where you say, okay, what am I doing though?
Mm-hmm.
Am I in college and partying with no guidance, not really doing more partying than colleging? Ding. What am I doing? Like, is college for me? May not be for me. May not be the right time for me to be in college
Right.
because I'm doing too much partying. I'm not interested in being in college, or I can't handle being in this environment. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's too much freedom. It's too much partying. Too many men. Too much alcohol. Too much weed.
Yes. That's real. And when you
You
really think
know.
about it, like how many people are in actually professionally in their field of study right now? I mean, when we think about it, I know that, the
Mm,
way that this system is set up a certain way where you graduate high school and then you go to college. But if you haven't even formed who you are as a human being,
mm-hmm,
how are you then prepared to make a decision about what your lifelong career is going to be? Now I know there are exceptions to the rule where, there are some kids
mm-hmm,
who from very young, they say, I'm going to be a doctor, and that's what they become. But
mm-hmm.
that's not the vast majority of people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true.
And so what happens when now you're 80 to $100,000 in debt and you come into this awareness of yourself, because now you're what, 24, 23, 24,
Mhm.
something like that. You come into this awareness of yourself and you realize that based on who you are now, that's not even what you want to do. So now you have
Yeah.
all of this debt. You got, all of this nonsense that you have to work through potentially from childhood,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or maybe you've worked through it and that's how you came to this awareness. And you're in this new phase of your life with $100,000 worth of debt.
Yeah.
But you want a man with six
Yeah.
figures so he can pay so he can pay off the
So you
debt.
can pay your student loans. Don't we all, honey? Don't we all?
It's just a big old mess. The
It is.
whole like the whole system, the whole idea, it just to me, it just needs to be dismantled and start fresh. Everybody
Yeah.
should be able to freely go through this journey of life. You know, there
Yeah.
shouldn't be timestamps placed on people about what you should be doing in your life and whether that equals success or failure or whether that
Mm.
equals being adequate or inadequate. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just at 18, you don't know anything. And sorry to the
Mm.
18-year-olds that may be listening, but honey, you don't know anything. And you're gonna realize at 21 how much you didn't know at 18, just like you're gonna realize at
Mm-hmm.
25 how much you didn't know at 21, and so on and so forth. That's the
Right.
way that it goes.
Right. It's true. It's absolutely true. And um, I think this is a good place to kind of start to wrap up and talk about accountability and giving each other passes,
Mm,
you know, as Black women in terms of our behavior. Now, this is going to probably be touchy, but I mean, we've been in that for this whole conversation. So, but, you know, the conversation is, I mean, do you think that we give each other, as Black women, we give each other passes in terms of our bad behavior? We kind of like excuse it off, brush it off, defend it.
yeah,
Um, you know,
absolutely.
why? Why do we do that?
Absolutely. I think over the years, like I want to say since the 70s, you know, through this whole invalidating the position of the Black man to a Black woman,
Mm,
through that whole thing, there's this air, generally speaking, that Black women are beyond reproach. You can just
mm,
do any old thing that you want, and there's a justification for it. You know
mm,
what I mean? And I know people gonna get
mm,
mad at me or whatever, and that's fine. But I want you to really think about it. I want you to really think about it. So you can go to the club 3 nights out of the week and leave your children. You don't know, you don't even know what their teacher's name is, right? You providing food, clothing, and shelter. This is true. Yes. But you're not nurturing and cultivating greatness in your children. But because their father is outside of the house and he sees them on weekends, he's a deadbeat.
mm.
How that go together? How does that go together? So your homegirl can cover for you while you out cheating, right? He can
Mm.
say, "Oh, she's with me," if your man call. But if a man cheat, he's a dog.
Yeesh.
How does that work? A man could be down on his luck and not have a job. He's a scrub.
Mm,
But you collecting checks from the government, living in a place that our tax dollars pay for, and you have no qualms about it. What, so you're not looking for a job, you're not trying to improve your life or anything. But he's the scrub? I mean, get mad at me, people, if you want to, but
you rolled over a whole slew of
I'm
toes.
just saying, if we do not address the issues that are plaguing our community, like we
Yeah.
got to be honest about this thing. You know, we can't be
Yeah.
tiptoeing around what's happening. Okay? We can't tiptoe around it. And this isn't to bash Black women. I love you. You are my sisters. I'm calling you out to be higher. I'm calling
Mm.
you out to be what the Creator intended, what He purposed for your life. That
Yeah.
that's like, I mean, come on, there's so much wasted potential in our community. That's not to say that
Yeah.
we don't have fantastic scholars, because I know there's always going to be somebody who thinks linear. And if I say this particular thing, then, oh, she's bashing the community. She doesn't think blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah. So let me just clear that up. Okay. I don't need to discuss Black excellence. We know that it exists beyond measure. What I'm talking about is the
Yeah.
issues that create more problems for us as a community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And if you think that you're beyond reproach while you're celebrating not needing a man and celebrating being a
Mm.
single
Wow.
parent, and you're not paying attention to the fruit that is coming from your tree under your leadership, if you don't see a connection with that, then you have an even bigger problem than the things that I'm talking about right now. That does not absolve a man from his responsibility to take care of his children, because we all know
Right. But it's two different
it's
issues.
two different issues. So if the mother is the first teacher, if the mother is the first nurturer, and you have these young men out here, they have no respect for women because they weren't loved by their own mother in the way that they needed to be loved. Who then bears the responsibility for that? Is that the deadbeat daddy's fault? Because we already know he's gonna have issues from not having a daddy around, but he's gonna have issues from having a
Mm.
neglectful mother too. So you don't get a pass for your behavior and get to point at the man and make it his fault. You lay down with that man. You chose him. Why'd you choose him, boo boo?
Mm.
I'm sorry, I'm getting hot.
You may not even know.
I'm getting hot. I need to calm my spirit. But it's out of love. It's
Yeah.
out of love because I see so
Yeah.
much greatness, so much wasted potential. It's wasted on nothing.
Yeah. Because this literal campaign, I think it became a hashtag on Instagram, and uh, NERDSoul and I talked about it one of the shows we did, where what was it? Blame Black men. I think they had
Yes,
blame Black men,
yes.
and it made my chest hot because I'm like, see, this is what we're not going to do. This is what we're not going to do. Because to me, I was like, this is embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see any other race do this.
Yeah.
Where women are creating a campaign to bash their own men.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You can't say out of one side of your neck, Black Lives Matter, and we're creating this because Black men are being killed disproportionately.
Mm-hmm.
But then out of the other side of your neck, I can't stand Black men. Where they do that at?
Right, right.
I
And
don't want y'all to kill them,
sign each other.
but I can't stand them.
Yeah, it's crazy enough that a person has that thought, but then here comes the brigade co-signing on the foolishness.
Oh my God. I could not believe the co-signage. Like, who? I just didn't get it. And it was ridiculous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous stuff. One chick even posted something blaming Black men for slavery.
What?
Saying it was Black men were too weak to get their women and their children out of slavery.
Wow.
It's like, see, you need to have several seats. You need to have a whole stadium of seats.
But see, that speaks to how sick we are. When I say like psychologically, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
we have been damaged. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
we don't acknowledge that damage. Like it's real,
Yeah.
you know? Like it's real. And that it doesn't
Yeah.
just go away. Like it passes down from generation to generation. There was a study that I want to say was it Duke University? I don't know. Some college had done a study. I don't remember what college it was years ago, where they basically were trying to figure out if your environment affects your DNA. And what they
Mm.
found was that even though the the coming together of the sequence of DNA, that's not shifted by environment, but how your genes respond is affected by your environment, right? And it was talking about like, the things you eat or taking drugs or, whatever, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to take that a step further. If you are in a toxic environment,
Mm-hmm.
and such as slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like as toxic as it gets. Then it's changing up how your genes respond
Mm-hmm.
in your body. And then you're having a child, and that child has that code within them, right?
Mm.
And then they go through trauma and toxicity, and then they have a child. So we're talking about 400 years of our genes not functioning the way that they're supposed to function. And here
Yeah.
we are. But we the first ones to say, I ain't doing no counseling. I don't want nobody up in my business.
Yeah.
We need it
You
more
need
than
it.
anybody else.
You need it. You know, there's that element of distrust. It's a whole mishmash, and it's a catch 22 all around. You know, I don't want to get counseling because I don't trust the counselors, but I don't trust the counselors because I need counseling. you know,
uh,
where do you go? What do you do? Um,
you end up
but
with
yeah,
5-year
it
olds in 50-year-old bodies.
yeah,
That's what happens. That's what it
yeah,
is. It's a whole bunch of Black folks that's walking around chronologically grown, mentally,
hmm
emotionally, spiritually toddlers.
yeah. And the thing is, this is not to like attack anybody. It's to say we just have to acknowledge our stuff.
Yes.
We just have to acknowledge our stuff. We've all been through stuff, some much more severe than others, but it's all stuff. It all affects our interactions, and it all affects our relationships. And we have to get to a point where we accept it. And talking about specifically what we're talking about today for Black women, in all of our experiences in growing up and developing into women and interacting with each other, we have to know ourselves. We have to get to know ourselves and what our issues are and deal with them. We have to know what it is we require, what deal breakers are, what we want. We have to surround ourselves with other women that will hold us accountable
Yes.
in terms of our behavior, that will love on us, and that will be real with us and correct us, support us. And all at the same time, understand this isn't about strong Black women being against Black men.
Yes.
Being a strong Black woman does not mean that you don't need a man.
Right.
It does not mean that you beat down and belittle a man.
Yes.
If you need to do that to be a strong Black woman, you're not a strong Black woman.
At all. You better preach. preach that, girl. That's what I'm talking about. You better
I'm
preach.
just saying. So
The doors of the church are open.
pass the plate. So yeah, I think as NERDSoul will say, we have exercised the demons.
I'm telling you, because I done sweat through this dress. This is a passionate discussion. I'm trying to tell you.
I
Whew.
think it was necessary. And guys, I hope you all will comment. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to share. And please comment. We actually do want your comments. Agree or disagree. Just be nice. Be respectful. Um, Agree, disagree. We just want the conversation. This isn't just for us to have with each other and just for the sounds of our voices. So yeah, and thank you so much for listening. For all of you who listened all the way through, thank you. Um, Thank you for joining us. And once again, don't forget to check out NERDSoul's channel at ThatNERDSoul.com. Check out Beats Vibes Life, Loungin', the original Black Together, and don't forget to check out the Rent Party on Halloween night. You in the house. You ain't going nowhere. So you might as well get on, go to the Rent Party, check that out. All right. Any final words, madam?
Self-reflection is a must. Make it happen, people.
There you go. There you go. So thanks again, and bye, y'all.
Peace, love, and light.